Hey guys, welcome to the latest episode of Beyond the Tape. This one was a little bit of an impromptu one. Pretty rad little chat with Jackson Frew, just a bit of a catch up and kind of talk about 2020 and his plans for 2021 as he's undergone a bit of a shake up and there's a few things happening. So we just had a bit of an impromptu chat about that. Not really like an interview, just a good chat about everything, technology, his kind of bike setup, suspension, just cool stuff. Spoke tensions, different spokes, hubs. We went through everything pretty much. So it's a really good little in-depth chat just about what's going on in his life and what's happening. Of course, this podcast is brought to you by Canyon. Canyon have come on huge way for 2021. They're supporting the podcast for the year and keeping things running. So if you want to support those guys, jump over to canyon.com. Have a look at their bikes. So the new Spectral's out, the 29er, which I'm really, really keen on. They also started bringing in the e-bikes to Australia. So all your Spectral on, your Neuron on, your Grand Canyon on, and the new Torque on are all available in Australia now, which is rad. Hopefully to jump on one of them soon as well. Obviously on those bikes, you're going to want to run something like the Factor stems, your Factor pedals, and Nova wheels. They all come through Tool Up Bike Co. So those guys have been killing it lately. They're bringing out a bunch of stuff and they're doing some good deals. Don't forget as well, we've got NSDynamics, Australia's top #1 suspension tuning service. So if you want to get your bike feeling like Jackson's, hit those guys up and they'll be able to sort you out, whether it be Olin's, Cane Creek, DVO, or custom tuning yourself. Next sponsor is obviously going to be Huck the World. Those guys have been keeping me clothed and keeping me less naked for a while, but they do some really comfy tees and they're coming out with some banger designs in the next few months. So go over there, use Beyond the Tape 10 and you get 10% off of those goods, which is killer. Dirt Surfer is an Australian custom mudguard company. So they do fully custom mudguards. If you want to get something, your logo printed, some race plates printed, hit those guys up as well because they're doing some really cool stuff. 100% recycled, 100% Australian made, and they are super, super good. Given a few to a few friends. We're obviously selling the Beyond the Tape ones at beyondthetape.com and everyone's frothing on them, so they're rad. Lastly, Fist have also given us a discount code after their rad episode with Sam Moore. So jump over to fist.com.au, use the code Beyond the Tape, and get 15% off of those rad gloves. I've been running the Breezer for a while and they're sick. So yeah, jump over there, support Australian. Anyway, that's a 3-minute intro, quite long. So grab a beer, grab a water wine, and listen to me and Jackson talk shit for a couple of hours.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't spoken to DePel to get if that's a true thing or not. And obviously, the UCI hasn't been making announcements on that, but yeah, rumors I'm hearing.
What did I see today as well? Like EWS Whistler got cancelled, and then Champs of Nations or whatever it was.
Yeah, and I don't know that Crankworks Whistler is confirmed yet. I don't think they have a date, and I thought I read somewhere, or maybe in that EWS announcement, that they're not sure if they're going to be able to run this year.
Yeah,
which would be wild.
Because that would be. Well, they didn't run Crankworks last year, did they?
They ran, I think it was like invite only, maybe, but they did run one in Innsbruck.
Yeah, but not Canada.
But yeah, not Canada, and I think I don't remember. I think they just got Rotorua out of the way.
Yeah, I think that happened
before the world shut down.
Yeah, because that was before Nationals. So yeah, it would have definitely.
Yeah. Because National Champs was basically National Champs race day was the day they shut the border in Australia.
Yeah, so I had to do a quarantine because I was in Victoria.
Yeah,
so
I was supposed to. Yeah, right. I got super lucky because we raced Saturday and I was driving home Saturday night to Canberra to pack my bike and grab my suitcase and then drive to Sydney the following morning to fly to Portugal. And DePel rang me Saturday. No, I woke up to a message from DePel Saturday morning and he said, "Don't get on the plane." That was that.
Crap. Yeah, that was insane.
And like as the week was going, we were getting, oh, yep, Troy's coming back now, and Dean was, I think, just getting there as they were cancelling it, and yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, I don't like it. I'm just trying to get something to work. Yeah, that's all good. We can work it out afterwards. Yeah, but then you didn't go to any of the World Cups, so like the ones that happened, hey?
Well, no, that was kind of the same thing, because I think Miranda and the Enduro guys were over there, and Connor was supposed to fly out. Oh, I don't remember when. He was flying out like maybe a week or two before me to do 1 or 2 Enduros, and then we were all going to like Leogang or Schladming or like Lenzerheide or just somewhere around there to ride for a bit before World Champs.
Mm.
And it was the same thing. Like I got a message from Miranda one morning. She's like, yeah, look, this is sketchy. Like I'm not comfortable. And like Alex was the same thing. He was like, yeah, look, if you want to go, I'm keen, but it doesn't feel quite right. And DePel's like, look, I don't think you should put Alex in that position. And I was like, yeah, no, I can't put anybody in that position to, risk their safety just for me to race. And, I don't want to risk mine. Like imagine if you get hurt and then you're stuck in a hospital over there.
Yeah, you're stuck in Italy or something where it's on and off all the time.
Yeah, and we're hearing all these like crazy stories of like Switzerland charging like €20,000 a day or something to be in hospital because they were trying to keep them clear for COVID patients, and it was just So I think the same thing. I think Connor had his pre-flight COVID test on like say like a Tuesday or something like that. He was flying on a Thursday, and I think it got to like Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Like, no, don't go. And I got to like 2 or 3 days out and we were still like umming and ahhing. Like, no, we pulled the pin there.
Yeah.
And then we saw snowing World Champs. It was like, oh, maybe it wasn't the worst one to miss.
Dude, that looked so bad. I was thinking that, hey, I'm like, God, if there's any World Champs you want to miss, it's going to be that. Yeah,
it was weird. It was strange. And I guess the results kind of proved that too. Like, there was, Reece obviously deserved to win that one, like far out. From the first day of practice, all the videos and the photos and stuff I was seeing, it was like far out. But
I think
weird.
Even if it went like normal for everyone else, he still would have won. Like, I think he would have just upped the ante more.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, definitely. I think he was probably on, or say for argument's sake, like the podium level of that weekend, like the top 3 level of that weekend, and it would have been like tenths or a second here or there if he didn't win. But I'm pretty sure he was still going to win.
Yeah, 100%.
Just everyone else who would have been there with him,
like
probably
I think
had
maybe
a
like
mistake or something.
The only guy I could think of that would have challenged him was Tyrion. Maybe
he did, didn't he?
Yeah, he was real second. Close.
Yeah, he was pretty close.
Yeah. But
even like the World Cups after that was strange. Like the results never normalised.
No.
I guess you could say normalised. I guess that's probably pretty accurate for the season.
Yeah. Well, Matt Walker was the most normalised results, and that's why he won.
Well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the only really... Actually, that was another interesting thing now that you say that. There was like, wasn't really... Everyone really struggled with some consistency, didn't they? Like even like Bruni and Troy and the usuals that are the super consistents.
I think like I think consistency comes with preparation. So if you don't have that preparation for each track, it can kind of throw them off a little bit. Like their mentality might have been a little bit weird.
Yeah,
that's my theory. That's why like some of the kind of more looser guys were up the top, like Phil Atwell and stuff. Like they're just guys that can ride pretty much like off the drop of a hat.
I suppose too, those guys who are super consistent, like they've got their set routine that gets them in the right position every weekend. And in those weekends, there was no routine at all. Or like the standard routine for a World Cup wasn't there.
Well, like you've never finished a World Cup and then gone do track walk straight after.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Yeah, I think that might have been like, I don't know. It seems like on the surface you could look at like Troy or even Greg and Bruni and There's like a few of them, and that like whole routine thing, especially those guys who've been doing it for so long. Like imagine Greg, you've been racing World Cups the same, timetable for 20 years, wouldn't
I
it?
think it's almost 21, 22.
Yeah, so imagine getting thrown a curveball like that, and after 20 years, you got to change the schedule completely.
No, it's got to be like 24 because I'm pretty sure he started in 96.
Yeah, it would have been, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because he's fought and either way, he's old and he's been doing it for a long time. And it's,
that's longer than I've been alive, which is scary.
Yeah, it's insane. It is so crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he's like we're going on heaps of tangents, but I think that's why he's like the GOAT. Like, because he's beaten Villio's, Steve Peat, like Sam Hill, like Bruni.
Queen.
Like, he's beaten everyone across like this whole timetable of bikes. And
yeah, that's true, isn't it? I suppose it's like the Reed thing in motocross, because he raced in like 2 or 3 different eras and was the top of 2 or 3 different eras. It's kind of the same sort of thing, really, isn't it?
Whereas you have people that peak for like 5 years and then drop out.
Yeah, I never really thought of it like that. I suppose that is pretty. I mean, I suppose with which one did he win? Lusa. That's like winning World Cups in every era as well.
Yeah,
since '96.
I don't think there's like a year he hasn't won. Maybe the year before last he didn't win anything.
There was the year that did he hurt his knee or his shoulder or something?
Yeah, I think that might have been 2019. Yeah.
Yeah, I know there was like probably maybe a year or 2 or 18 months or something he didn't win one. Podiumed pretty consistent, but didn't win one.
It would have been 2018, 2019, because 2019 is the first year he didn't qualify.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Greg
He was 1,000th in front of me, and I was a 10th off qualifying that same race. He was 61st, I was 62nd, 1,000th behind. And I think Fayol was 60th.
That's
from
like
memory.
Half a tyre knob. Like, it's nothing.
Probably less than that.
Yeah.
It was something like that. It was, or maybe it was like a few thousandths or something like that. And then I think it was a 10th from me to, I want to say it was Fayol or, I can't remember who. It was one of the Frenchies you normally associate with being higher up as well, who also had a rough day.
It's crazy how much like a rough day just ruins like a whole race.
Yeah, well, just the curveball. Well, I suppose like Leogang and Maribor, I think having to get used to saying last year, also like that curveball thing that just throw the biggest spanner in everything as well.
No one's expecting snow at a downhill race. Like at that time. Well,
like we were just talking about before off camera, when we had like 6 inches of snow in on the 16th of January in Australia.
Bobsled downhill champs. That's what
and
I thought
then
it was.
The next day I got sunburnt.
I love Australia.
That's how we raced in the dry on Sunday, and Saturday we practiced in the snow.
Well, we saw the same. Well, what was Borbor like? Was that similar?
The opposite.
Oh, okay.
It was cold and pretty crappy Saturday, but the track, the dirt was primo. And then the following day, we raced in the mud.
Yeah.
And it just got thicker and thicker and thicker.
Because I was watching like Falls Creek stuff from the Enduro, and it looked like it was just pissing down the whole time and then dry on race day.
Yeah, I didn't see too much from that. I saw like Connor and actually both Connor's stuff, but didn't see too much outside of that.
How good was Connor Clancy, like up in second?
Yeah.
I'm like, where'd that come from?
Yeah, and he was pretty close to Connor, or the other Connor, on a few stages as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Might have got him on 1 or 2.
I think he was like, I think he was second on pretty much every stage, if I remember right.
And I think the other Connor, Fearon, won most of the other ones, didn't he?
Most of the other ones, and then he dropped down because I think McIlroy got a stage win. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't even seen like stage results or like overall results or anything.
But I'm just like, obviously Connor's Clancy's put in the work. Like, he's been working hard, but still, like, big effort.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think Medina National Championship downhill is going to be interesting.
I'm so
and Enduro too.
Yeah. Well, Connor's doing both. Connor Fearon.
I'd say, yeah, I think there'll be a few people. Seems like I'm kind of the odd one out because I'm not doing the enduro.
Yeah.
But
You could do it. You still got time.
no, I've already booked the boat. I can't change that.
Yeah,
now.
okay.
Yeah. But then there's another Vic round the following weekend as well.
Mm.
And then I've heard some rumours early April. There's potentially another Vic round somewhere as well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I've heard rumours of, but I'm not sure that's confirmed.
If they stay out of lockdown.
Oh, yeah. I'm supposed to be flying through Melbourne next Friday.
Ooh.
I'm supposed to have a night there. And, I just got a news article sent. It's like, oh, yeah, maybe that's not going to happen now.
So you're just doing the downhill then for Nationals?
Yeah. That's the plan. I've sort of I made that call and then started seeing photos of what Baxter and Darcy are cooking up for us and thought maybe that's a good plan because I might end up pretty cooked otherwise.
Mm. How good does the track look?
Yeah, it looks epic. I didn't, when I heard Baxter and then Darcy as well were building it, it's kind of got to expect something pretty special.
Yeah.
Like, those two have spent a lot of time racing in Europe as well. So, I mean, I don't want to put any pressure on them, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be epic either way.
Yeah, I was chatting to him the other day. I'm like, oh, is the track finished? And he's like, nah. And I'm like, oh, you've only got a couple of weeks, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm not stressed. You're stressed. And he's like, he's peeking. Yeah.
Well, when I saw that they had like two, it looked like they were like 20-ton machines in there building the finish area. And I was like, oh, God, okay, they mean business. They're big machines. Like,
I think they had a 70-foot double at the end of the fire road, like coming into the finish arena, and they hit the B line, which was 50 foot, and didn't quite make the 50 foot, so they had to rebuild it and shrink it all in quite a bit.
Oh, don't tell me that. First hits are going to be interesting.
It's big. It's genuinely huge.
Yeah, I've been hearing like 60-foot step-ups thrown around and all this, and I'm pretty pumped. And I've heard rumors they're trying to mirror it a little bit after like Valdosol and Andorra, which if that's true, that's going to be epic. Hopefully they tame it down just a little bit for, everybody's got to ride it. But knowing Baxter and Darcy, they've been at it for a while, so I'm pretty sure everyone will be fine. Yeah,
I think it'll be a sick track. I think it's going to be fun to watch, and it's going to be good to have like a proper. Like Cairns is cool, and obviously Stromlo's pretty cool, but to have a proper like World
Stromlo.
Is it Stromlo?
Yeah, I know, but you said Stromlo's cool.
Yeah, well, it's like it's all right, but that's where they had a World Cup, right? World Champs,
World Cup and World Champs.
Yeah, I thought you meant but like they're okay.
Yeah.
But it's not like a proper downhill track, so I think to have one.
No, Stromlo definitely not.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was like when the track they built for Champs, we still sort of have.
Yeah.
But it's been mellowed out a lot and they changed the start, so we don't go to the old bit. So where the track they actually raced was pretty sick.
Yeah, okay.
Even if it was like maybe 2:13, 2:14 race time, I think.
Dude, that's,
something like that.
Well, I'm excited to see what the length of the track is in Medina. Because I think it's...
I don't know. I've never been. I don't know how long a run is or elevation or anything.
I think like the fastest run from top to bottom, I don't know if this changed, but like in the first few months they did it. And I think Connor was top and it was 12 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I hope we don't race all that.
No, definitely.
I'll be cooked.
Yeah. And then me and my mates were sitting there. We went there when it was winter and we're having breaks and stuff, but I still think our fastest time down there was like 24 minutes.
Yeah.
Like with a 10-minute break, like a 15-minute break or something. So...
Yeah, right.
Well, no, it wouldn't be that, but yeah.
Yeah. But it's still like a big hill.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, right. Because I've never been. I haven't been to Tassie in a long time. No, I went to Derby a few years ago now. And it's never lined up to go back.
It'd be a pretty good training ground for you, right? Like, but I guess everything.
I think they're going to make this Nationals track part of the bike park. So
if
they're building it as rowdy as it's going to be, it'll probably be the place to be to train to go overseas.
Because it wouldn't be. How far is it away from yours, like flight time wise?
Maybe a 3-hour flight. It's about an hour and a half to Melbourne, so maybe 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, because it's 2 hours from mine, like flight time. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it'd have to be like that. Well, it's like, I think we're driving down and we get in the boat, and I think it's about 7 hours or 6.5, 7 hours to Melbourne or so.
Yeah.
From Canberra, and then the boat, and I don't know, maybe I've heard like 3.5 or 4 hours or something from the boat into Medina, something like that. So
it's only Tassie.
It's not too bad. Yeah. Yeah, I got told 4 hours or something. I was like, what's that, like a full lap of the island? Or
Yeah. I think like all the roads back, and there's so many switchbacks that it almost like triples your driving time.
Yeah. But
what are your racing plans for this year, though? Like, how's that kind of working for you?
Well, that's all a bit up in the air as well, because we just don't know what races are happening. As we started talking about briefly before, it's, with already hearing rumours of cancellations and movements and stuff like that. So this is completely just me talking off the cuff, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see another season of double headers back to back.
Yeah.
But
where they can. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Beyond that, I don't know. My plan is to race as many races as I can and do what I can do, but...
Because, like, it was weird. I read because I'm the full mountain bike nerd, I read the UCI, like, team list.
Yeah.
When it came out. There's some pretty cool things happening, but I saw you went on, like, the factory team for Kona. Like, it was weird.
That changed pretty last minute, but... and we got a bit of a thing coming out with it, but... kind of Kona's kind of changing their focus a little bit with enduro bikes being so big and enduro being so big that, and with Connor and Miranda both wanting to focus more on that a little bit. So it was really cool of them. They've kind of let me loose, but offered support at races when they're at World Cup. So if there's an opportunity that pops up for me at some point, then I can take it without, being reliant on them and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But so that's been really cool. But at the same time, you always want to be part of that program, and we had a really good relationship, and we still do. So I'll still be on Kona's. Still currently working on new frame. Should hopefully be pretty soon with Kona Australia.
Yeah.
Still with a bit of support from the factory team and DePel and stuff like that. So should be pretty cool. And you'll still see me around the pits.
Yeah. But you're not like a media writer or anything like that. You're not going down that YouTube route.
A what?
You're not going down like the whole YouTube route and being like a media writer.
I suppose part of racing these days is being, seen and being, I suppose, socials more than, I suppose, YouTube's a social media really now with the marketing sense of it. But I guess that's a little bit my personality, but I much prefer to let my racing do 99% of the talking and then just talk about that on socials rather than all the other stuff. So that's definitely more my style.
But you get to like to pick and choose what you're kind of doing. So that's pretty rad.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, for me, I love racing. I'm probably one of the more competitive people you'll ever meet, and going fast is, specifically at a race, is way more fun than just going fast when you're just out riding.
You're not going to go into jibbing on YouTube or anything? Any jib tracks?
No, I'm not going to be building a jib bike anytime soon.
So you running like your own program, or you're part of, like, how's it kind of work? Or you're still in the process?
It's my own program.
Yep.
But following, like, we've been super lucky the last 2 years in the factory team having such a good crew of supporters behind us. So a lot of it's not going to change too much, just because I've been really comfortable with my bike and the way it rides and all the parts and stuff on it.
Yeah.
But there'll be little tweaks here and there, and I'm getting to work with a few friends that I've made in the industry over the years that I've wanted to, so it'd be really cool. But for the most part, it's going to be not too big of a change, which is really what I wanted.
What was like the drive behind that? Because it's going to be like something like what you're doing. You've got Phil Atwell who's doing something similar. Mike Jones on like Nukeproof as well. He's kind of doing something similar. It seems like the whole year from last year kind of made riders want to do their own thing and kind of want to.
I think it's been really strange talking to people because I've been around a little while now, and I've kind of got a few friends in the industry and stuff like that. And it's really strange because, I mean, I don't know what it's like there, but over here, like you can't go to a bike shop and buy a bike, and you can't go to a bike shop and buy a tire. Like you can't. There's no one has stock of anything. That's the biggest challenge, and to me, that from the outside, you think, oh, okay, well, these companies are going to be wanting to investing in marketing, and they're selling so much that they're going to be in a good way. But and for the 99% of the time, it's true. But at the same time, it's really hard for them because they've got no product because everything's sold.
Yeah.
And so it's harder for them to justify. For an example, use Phil on the Cube team. It's harder for them to justify paying him to race for the factory team and give him bikes and give him all the support, excuse me, and all that when there's someone who's willing to pay like 15,000 euro or whatever for that downhill bike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's weird. It took me taking off. Still probably haven't wrapped my head around it, but it's an interesting case this year.
Yeah. Well, like there was a sick podcast that came out with the CEO of Santa Cruz the other day on Vital, and it's going all the way down to like the point of they couldn't get cardboard for their boxes to pack their bikes because online sales have been up so much that cardboard factories can't keep up with the demand. So they've got bikes ready to ship, but they can't ship them because they've got no boxes.
Yeah, I've heard wild stories coming out. But and I guess a little bit of it for me as well is that I get a bit of stability. That's part of why I wanted to stick with Kona. I had a few years there where I didn't really have any stability in what bike I was riding. And that was purely down to a bit of wrong timing on my half in that my contracts were ending at the wrong time. Other companies that were interested and that I'd wanted to work with had contracts rolling over and didn't have space and everything like that. So for me, I'm finally this is my third year on an operator coming up. So that stability is something I also chase. So I wasn't pushing super hard for another brand because I didn't really think I had time or didn't want to invest all that extra energy in developing something new when I could have all the development I've had in the last 2 years in this bike still with me.
And I think like Kona seems to have a good amount of flexibility because they're not really a small company when you think about it, but they're a smaller focus, if you know what I mean. Like they're not just doing like commuter bikes and stuff as well.
Yeah.
And they're really focused on riding, so they almost give their athletes more flexibility. Like even if you look at what Connor and Miranda do, it seems like they're doing that off their own decision. So similar to you as well.
Yeah, well, I think Connor's a good example because he's just able to pivot so easily. And I mean, I suppose having that I think they're 9 or 10 years now.
This is their 11th.
Is it 11? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Last year was 10.
That kind of trust that they've got together, they can both kind of, Connor can send a message tomorrow and say, I'm going to go, compete in dirt
Slope
jumps
style.
or slope style or something. And I'm pretty sure Kona would be like, all right, sweet, what do you need sort of thing. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool. But it's going to be interesting. There's been a lot more team changes than I expected this year and a few big ones. And like Loris and Danny and another big one, I can't remember now, but
Loris, Danny, well, I think Phil's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a whole debacle. I'm surprised the syndicate's got 2 riders now instead of 3. Like that's the first time ever, I'm pretty sure.
No, it wasn't. Oh, I suppose there was the year Petey was hurt and they just had Loris, not Loris, Greg and Josh.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was rumours going around they were going to hire a third, but apparently, obviously didn't.
Yeah, there was
Come to
heaps of
fruition.
rumours about who was doing what, and yeah.
There was a big one that someone was going there. I think there was a few rumours of Remy Tyrion going there.
That's
a few
it.
rumours of Angel going there.
Yep. Nina Hoffman was one as well, like the first woman to be on the syndicate.
I'm pretty sure she's like a constant rumour to Syndicate. Every time she's in the pits, it's a new rumour popping up. But
I'm pretty sure she's like leading the do your own thing kind of path, I reckon, because she started doing that a couple of years ago.
yeah, well, I think she's kind of her, and there's a few others that kind of have it to the point. Like, actually, a good example is her and rides for the YT for the mob.
Oh, Valley.
No. Oh, yeah, her as well. And
Yeah.
the guy who just signed for him. I'm completely brain blanking.
Duck Norton.
No, the Austrian was signed last year. I'm completely brain blanking here.
Yeah.
Anyway, they kind of build their own program and have what they want to ride and what they want to use, and they go nuts and just have the best results they can because they're just having fun and using the right stuff and using what they want to use and all that sort of stuff. Like, they're not hamstrung by a team and having to fill budgets with not necessarily bad products, but I don't think that's really a thing
I think
in the industry too much. But
there's personal preferences for everything.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. You can't.
And I think there's also a big, like, some products work, particularly like suspension and wheels and stuff like that. Like, some suspension and wheels work really good on one frame set, like their stiffness and their characteristics, and then others won't work on another.
Yeah.
That same setup doesn't necessarily, like, the setup I run on an operator might not work very well on a Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
Just nothing to do with any one part. It's just the characteristics of all those parts might not work together.
It's just a package, like,
Exactly.
and it depends on what, like, that's probably why Santa Cruz works so well with Fox, because they've always been, well, the majority of the time they've been on Fox, and a lot of Fox testing is going to be around a Santa Cruz bike. So
yeah, I still think they're with SRAM longer. I don't think they've been with Fox Shimano as long as they were with SRAM yet, but I could be wrong on that one.
I can't remember, to be honest. I always just watched Rat Boy, just never paid attention to his bike.
Oh, no, yeah, actually, you're right. They would have been with Fox and Shimano way longer now, yeah.
It's been a while.
Thinking about it. Yeah.
10 years, maybe 8 years.
It's actually, I saw a clip of Greg from maybe the year he won Leo Gang Worlds when he was still on 26 and boxes when they had that, when the first year they did the black coating with that special stuff.
Yeah.
Or the black box stuff.
Yeah.
And it was the weirdest looking thing ever. It didn't even look like Greg.
And it looks like he's on a BMX.
Yeah, and he was still in like Alpine Star kit, I think it was, and it might have been like Kubota helmets. Yeah.
He's still he's on O'Neill helmets now, yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. The Stormtrooper thing.
But yeah, they've definitely they're a perfect example of just having the package dialed.
Yeah. Well, what? You wouldn't expect anything less.
No,
Like,
him and I think Bruni was hunting it for a few years there as well.
Yeah.
I think when they first signed with Specialized, because you saw them, they were changing, like, I think they were changing brakes every year and a few different brands of, like, maybe cockpit and stuff like that. Maybe wheels they were changing around.
I've even seen him like running different tires this year, like in Instagram and stuff. He's been rushing around with tires.
I think, Specialized probably developing something then.
I think so. There's a lot going on with that bike, especially under that little carbon box that set the internet on fire.
Every couple of years, he's done it a few times.
Yeah.
It's with the little, what was it, Fort William? They rocked up with like duct tape covering the whole frame or something.
Yes. Yeah.
With that redesign of the Lapierre.
I think so, yeah.
And they had like sponsor stickers on it, and they tried to claim that it was like them selling the side of the bike or something like that. And then it turned out like 2 weeks later and they had a brand new bike that they just didn't want to show off or something like And everyone, and that was when Lapierre had that electric suspension stuff, and they thought they were putting that on a Daniel bike.
Yeah. They do the weirdest stuff, those guys. It's so good.
Yeah, and who was the other one? Another one did that really good. I remember the Athenians were always really good at that because they just turn up with these really mysterious, like all black bikes.
Yeah.
And then couldn't tell what was going on.
Yeah. They loved it. Those Atherton bikes look pretty cheap, but yeah.
I've not had a chance to have a look at one up close.
Yeah, okay.
I saw the photos at first and I was a bit like, that's an interesting looking thing. And just seeing them like in the lift line or passing by and stuff like that, they look pretty sick. And I've read some cool stuff about how they make them, but I've not had a chance to really get up close with them.
They're like the definition of running your own program. I can't believe we didn't think about it.
To the extreme.
Yeah,
to the extreme. Yeah.
It's super successful for them.
It'd be interesting to see how they go when they start selling them. I don't think they're on sale yet.
I think there's a couple of pre-orders and stuff because they did like a Kickstarter, I think, on it or something, and whoever invested could get a frame or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, I did see something about that. I was going to buy some of that, but then it sold out in like 5 minutes. Purely because I just thought being part of Atherton Bikes has got to be a safe investment. They're always going to be going fast and always going to be selling bikes. I think it's just part of that family.
It's interesting to watch. And I love how, again, reading through that UCI list, Dan Atherton is still on their factory team.
That's probably, I don't remember the last time Dan would have raced a World Cup.
He raced, I reckon the last Enduro he raced was at least 6 or 7 years ago. It was on the old sanction.
Maybe like 15 or 14 or 15.
Yeah, it was his last Enduro, and then
World Cup would have been 9 or 10, surely.
Yeah. But he's apparently the fastest one, but he just doesn't like racing.
You hear so many stories of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like you always hear that you see the guy who's got a brother or a sister or something. It's like, he's incredible athlete or incredible at what he does. It's like, but everyone's, his brother's better.
Yeah.
You always used to hear stories of that when you'd like, because in Australia we used to have the like AIS testing, and you get they'd get a big crew of like mountain bikers who were like 14, 15, 16.
Yeah.
And you'd always hear them, and there'd be 2 or 3 sets of, twins or brothers or brother and sister or whatever go, and one would be this incredible athlete, and then the other one would test even better, but just didn't care to actually do anything about it, or wasn't interested in it or whatever.
Speaking of brothers and stuff, what do you think? What are your thoughts on like the whole? I don't know if you read into it, but like the Benny Zwar and Oliver Zwar moving to like Sweden and doing all that type of thing.
That's wild. It was. Yeah. I remember I was talking to Ollie about it, and he's like, we're moving to Sweden and we're going. I think they went in like February or something, and I was like, what's the weather like over there right now? And he's like, it's gonna be pretty cold. And I was, I mean, I hate being cold. So as soon as he told me that, I was like, more power to you. Like, you can have it. But no, I think it's awesome. It kind of they're going to the extremes of doing everything they can to succeed, and I think that's cool. Like, I've got so much respect for both of them, and I've got a lot of time for both of them. I think they're both really cool dudes, and I hope it. I mean, they didn't get too good of a shot at it last year with the season, and I think was it Maribor they lost their bikes or something as well, and
first race there
they were borrowing Cathro's bike or something, and so it's like kind of a rough start for them. But no, I hope that it works for them. I think it will. I
definitely think it will.
I don't know like in what way it'll work, like what it'll take for them, but knowing those two guys and how dedicated they are to move to Sweden, they'll find something one day and it'll just click for them, and everything will work.
And they just signed Ollie Davis as well, like on their team.
Yeah, right.
So that's pretty rad. Like that little junior from Melbourne. I think Dean Lucas has been helping him out for a while.
Yep.
Yeah. And they just signed him on. So it'd be interesting to see how it kind of goes. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. No, that'd be really cool. And I think they've got the Kiwi guy who won 1 or 2 junior World Cups, didn't he?
Yeah.
What's his name? Tuoto? I'm sure I'm butchering that.
No.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tahudo? No.
Yeah. I think we're talking about the same person.
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you say his name.
Because
he won Val de Sol or something too. It was like his first World Cup and he turned up and just smoked everyone at Val de Sol of all places.
Mm-hmm. I love that. How good was seeing like the young crew from like the YT Mob killing it as well?
Yeah.
So like
Ocean?
Or,
yeah, I'm not sure how you say it either, but yeah, that kid was gnarly fast and consistent with it too. Like, it was wild to watch because you see like the live timings. Well, it was the first time in a long time I've experienced sitting at home watching live timing of World Cup, but the anxiety of like, oh, he's up by more, and then he's down, and then he's back up again, and then he wins at the line, and then you go on Instagram and see like crashed or something and still won, or something like that.
It's watching it live is like super I think having that gap makes it more interesting sometimes because you don't know what's happened and they just come out of that.
Yeah. I still think you can't beat being in person because you kind of see the story of it evolve.
Yeah.
There's I remember having this conversation with Andy Vartas, the photographer. He works for Pinkfire.
Yeah.
He's from Bromont around Appel, and we were talking about how like doesn't matter how much effort they put into these incredible like photo stories and stuff. There's always like an underlying like story or someone who could have done something but had a little incident, or there's always something that you just can't cover. Like there's always an angle.
And I think there's so much that happens outside of like the big riders as well. Like that year, one of them, a kid from like some random country was riding his downhill bike like 7Ks to and from the race like every day. And then one day he forgot his shoes, so he had to do it again. I can't remember who that was.
I don't even remember that. I didn't even hear that story.
Yeah, there was like this junior, not this junior, but like a privateer who couldn't afford like a hotel close to the race. So he was riding like 7Ks with a backpack on or something on his rig, practicing and racing and then riding home.
That's so cool.
One day he forgot his shoes, so he had to go back and then come back again. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. Awesome. I think that might have been a Sven Martin story that might have made it on Vital.
It would have been like Denim Destroyer or someone like that.
I think it was even like more low key than that. Like he was super out there. Yeah.
Because you hear stories like that every now and again.
The privateer life seems hectic.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely had it. It was different for me because I did it my first year junior. And sort of like that halfway in between in 18. But like my first year was, I was still so young. Like that wasn't even 17 yet. So it was like a lot of it was, my mum came to my first World Cup with me.
Yeah.
And like mum, to her credit, she's been around racing a long time, but like she doesn't know how to fix a bike or anything like that. We got so lucky that we didn't have a mud race, so like I didn't really have too many mechanicals. We got so lucky.
Yeah.
And it all kind of worked out in the end, but it was, it's just hard, especially from Australia and New Zealand. Like it's just hard.
So much travel. Yeah.
Yeah, and just things like getting your spares there and having enough spares. And balancing, how much excess you can afford to pay and how many wheels you need to take. Stuff. There's little things like that.
Well, even like I think Elliot Jackson mentioned somewhere, I can't remember when again, but because he went from moto to mountain bike and then it rained at a race and everyone's like, you have to get mud spikes and stuff. So he was looking for literal spikes or something to go in his tires because they didn't know what mud spikes were. It's just things like that that you would never even think of.
Yeah. Elliot's cool. I bet he'd have some stories to tell.
Yeah. I'm really digging what he's doing at the moment too. That whole Grow Cycling Foundation and everything that he's doing is really cool.
Yeah, I must admit I haven't looked too much into it, but I saw the article on Pink Bike and it sounds like sounds really cool. He's really driven person, like just one of those people that's always trying to do something more and trying to do something better and trying to look out for someone else. And he's really cool. I got a lot of time for Elliot.
Well, he's like a self-taught computer programmer. Like,
yeah, we were.
It's gnarly.
Connor and I were flying somewhere and just went up and I think we were having coffee or something. And he was kind of, half distracted talking to us. And it was the day after a World Cup. Connor and I were just kind of talking and sitting on his computer, and we get up and just walk off to our gate and walk around, and he's like programming one of the websites or something he was building. And I was like, you're doing that and holding a conversation. That's pretty impressive.
He's super intelligent.
Yeah.
I'd love to meet him and have a good chat.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. There's kind of a lot of those people in the World Cup. Like a lot of people that are surprisingly gifted in other areas.
Like Minar's like a super good businessman from what I've heard. Like he's just dialed. So. Yeah,
I think there's a lot of that in those top guys. I don't think Aaron gets as much credit as he probably deserves for a lot of the back end of that team and his teams as well. And Greg, and all in different ways.
I guess like if you're driven to race mountain bikes as fast as possible down a hill, it's going to transfer over to some other part of life, right? Yeah.
And even like you hear stories of like Brendan and Fairclough, and there's a lot of people you hear stories of around the pits of like what of the business side or somebody that's just videos, like video production and just
jumping onto your house
just stuff they're really good at outside of just racing a bike or riding a bike really fast. Pretty interesting.
It is. Yeah. I definitely want to delve. That's what I was thinking at the start of this year, is I kind of want to delve more into what people do outside of riding a little bit more.
Yeah, it could be a cool podcast series of just like outside, like a on the bike version, like what we did and like what you've done with other people. And then one of, let's not talk about bikes for an hour. I suppose it's kind of like what this is really, just bench racing really.
It's super hard. As like I think about it as well. I think I was out having a drink with a few crew and Connor was there, and it was just like it occurred to me or something. But I asked a question about bikes once, but he hears that 1,000 times. If you know what I mean, like because he's heard that 1,000 times from other people. So he's over it. But for me, it's still that first time. Like
It's an interesting. I suppose it's that two sides of every coin, isn't there? And there's your side that you've just World Cup racer who's been around and done just about everything you can do and one of the gnarliest dudes on a bike. I'll just ask you this quick question about whatever it might be. And then there's the gnarliest person to ride a bike who's been asked that like 10,000 times in 10,000 languages in 10,000 different places.
Yeah. But for him to still, like, I think that makes a good athlete as well, for them to still have the patience to answer it, deal with it. I think
my problem, not really problem, but I still love racing just as much as when I was like 11 years old, watching live timing every race or trying to get free casted at work at like 3 o'clock in the morning and all that. So I love getting into a good conversation about, especially like setup and why we do things and how a team chooses what. I like talking the technical stuff. That kind of excites me. So like hearing people who are interested in that as well is really cool.
I've kind of, I don't know, I feel like tech stuff lately, like setup and stuff, is going real deep, and people are going too deep on their own personal setup sometimes, like for a recreational rider.
I love the rabbit hole. I love it. I love seeing the blokes who are so keen on, their custom tune and everything like that. And like deep down, they probably can't feel the difference, but they just have a passion for like finding a difference and like wanting it to be the best that they can, which is cool. I love it. I think it's cool.
It's sick. It is good, but sometimes it was like you can just chill and ride your bike for more than 20 minutes and just leave it.
Yeah.
There's, again, two sides to every story, but
I suppose it's a bit of like marketing in the industry, though, that they're kind of pushing the. And I suppose it's become such a big thing at races with all the telemetry and the data and all that as well, and how much races change stuff, and people kind of think, oh, well, maybe I need to do that. Like they're doing it. Maybe that's what you've got to do.
Well, dude, Mondraker just brought out a bike that comes with telemetry on it.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't get to read about it yet, but it looks pretty wild.
It uses, instead of pistons and measurements off of that, like off of a shaft, it basically uses magnets, and similar to basically a speedo or something, and measures the magnetic strength and between the points.
And then just converts that into a... Yeah, oh, that's pretty cool.
It's super interesting.
Because there's like a few ways you can do it. There's like, obviously that one. And then there's just using like the Steindeck system, which just uses force. So it just uses force to figure out its position and its movement.
And accelerometers and stuff like that as well, I think.
Yeah, for pitch and roll and all that stuff. And then I use the motion system, which is probably the most traditional in that there's a, I don't know what the term is. There's like a tracer that measures the height with a sensor in it and stuff like that, which I guess is probably the more traditional one.
Whether it's more accurate, it would have to be more accurate, I guess.
I don't think that's another thing I think with, I suppose that, yes, accuracy is super important, but like the old argument of your digital shock pump versus your analog, like as long as it's the same amount out and you use the same pump all the time, does it really matter?
As long as it's accurately incorrect.
Or consistently incorrect.
Yeah.
So if your 100 PSI is actually 95, as long as it always says 100 PSI when you have 95 in it, that's still going to work.
That's why I always use sag on any suspension, is because I know that sag point's going to have to be the same pressure 90% of the time. Yeah. Whereas, so I can use any shock pump given to me. I know that if I'm at that sag, that fork's going to work how I want it. Yeah.
I just don't go anywhere without my own shock pump. But, same. I would achieve the same things, but
just carry it everywhere.
Yeah. I run coil rear shocks on everything anyway, so sag's pretty much the same. And being with the race only, on those race only progressive springs, so they're super consistent as well, and they last forever. So I've not seen too much change in them anyway. So.
Which progressive string is that? Is that the Super Alloy Racing thing, or is it the...
No, my understanding, I could be wrong, is the Super Alloys are linear.
Yeah.
But the race onlys are like true progressive spring.
Yeah, okay.
They're really trick bit of kit.
Yeah. Because I think Tank Freak did one as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I know.
It's like white. Yeah. Trippy, but...
Because mine, on my operator, I was on a 475... just a 475 spring.
Yeah.
And I think that was something like 24 or 23% sag, something like that, just because that was what I needed to get the big end support that I wanted.
Yeah.
And then I was just kind of having to deal with the rest of it.
What?
And then on these race onlys, I went down to a 450 and got a heap more sag, much closer to a realistic sag number, so it breaks a lot better. But because I think the bottom out on the 450 is like 550 or 580 or something like that.
Yeah, wow. So it does ramp up.
Yeah, the last 30% of the travel is like something. There's a percentage number of it, but every spring's different. But the last 30% always ramps.
Why didn't you just go to an air?
Because it still got the off the top support and the off the top reaction of a coil spring. And at the time, we didn't have any Super Deluxes in the van.
Yeah. So that the breakaway force is still low.
Yeah, well, it was two things. We didn't have any. I think we might have had one air shock, but we didn't have a mag-neg to get off the top. And I think Connor was using it, or I don't know. Anyway, it was a perfect storm, and I ended up walking past with one, and I tried one, and now I love them.
Yeah, okay. So it does, like, I was reading it. So progression at 70%. So you get that super initial, like the first 30% super, pretty much linear, and then your last 70% it ramps up a bit more.
I think it's the other way around. I thought it was the first 70% is a linear rate, and the last 30% works like a bottom out, like the way I describe it is you have like a trophy truck, and you have your big 70%, which is just a linear rate spring, and then you have the last 30%, which is, well, they use like hydraulic bump stops.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just the way this is worded. It's definitely Europe.
Yeah,
yeah. Progression at 70. Yeah, well, that's pretty cool.
They're pretty cool. They're really cool. I love mine.
Really cheap too. €179. That's
what's the conversion right now?
But that would be the thing I don't mind about that is a coil's going to last you 9,000 years. And
the other thing with them is they're crazy high quality, and they're tested to a super high accuracy as well. So you know when it says 450 that you're going to get a 450.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas there's it's been a thing in the past with a lot of springs where, you know, your 450 might be one might be a 430 and a 440 or a 460 or whatever. But
it's 280 Australian.
Yeah.
But you're 100% right. You can get these coils that are supposed to be the same. I think I've even had it on some brands where I ordered the same coil and it gave me 5% extra sag for some reason. Because it is that. Yeah.
Not so much now, but 5 or 6 years ago, it was probably a bigger problem.
Do you run coil in the front or is it just air?
No, we're just on boxes, or have been on boxes, so it's just on an air.
Okay.
I've heard some rumours getting around of Bruni being on full coil and all this. Apparently all the Oland stuff is all full coil or something. I don't know.
Oland's is kind of special in the way they do things. So
in that they just do whatever they want.
Nah, so you know how yeah.
Well, they let Bruni do whatever he wants, I should say.
Nah, so usually a piston. We're getting into some real deep tech talk here, but usually a piston connects to the stanchions, all right? So if you run with the old boxes, if you run a coil, it scratches the inner side of your stanchions up, so you can just put an air spring in because it would just bleed air everywhere. But Oland's are full canisters that drop in, so the air shaft's in its own tube. So you just drop that tube and the whole assembly in, and then the coil's in its own assembly as well. So it never touches the stanchions. So you can literally just undo a bolt at the bottom, undo the bolt at the top, and pull the whole air assembly out and just drop a coil in.
Are they heavy?
I don't know. I'd say
that just makes me think of where they kind of started in automotive stuff, because that's how a front strut works. You
exactly
drop it in.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. Yeah, and when you go to that box on his bike as well, and that little button, they do an electrically controlled rear shock for a moto.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, wasn't he playing with his forks at Lusa?
Yeah, but he had a button on his shock.
Did he?
So the forks, I think, because the forks run a 38 mil stanchion, and so do their 38 mil e-bike forks. They do that are OEM only, and it wouldn't be that hard just to put a lockout from one of their single crown forks onto the top of a downhill dampener. So I think
he must have been. I guess he isn't running a coil shaft then, because you wouldn't be able to put that lockout. Well, I suppose you could. You just put it in the dampener, couldn't you?
It's on the damper side.
Yeah.
It's a whole, and Olin's use high speed compression as a lockout, not low speed. In a weird way, like the way it locks off is the opposite to usual.
Yeah, right.
I'm pretty sure. So it wouldn't affect his suspension that much. It'd just give him a good platform.
Well, I remember a few years ago when Fox had those. I think it might have been the year we came to Cairns for World Champs.
Yeah,
I
okay.
remember everyone turned up at Leo game with the like climb switch buttons.
Yeah, yep.
And I remember talking to Laurie about it. He turned it on when he got onto the motorway,
Yeah.
and then left it turned on
Yeah.
because it wasn't a full lockout on the coil shop because it couldn't. But it just gave them like really good support.
Yeah.
In the bottom section when he wanted it.
Mm.
So they were just tuning how the lockout worked so that it worked for the rest of the track, and he just left it turned on.
Well, Troy had a lockout at Leo Gang this year.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, if you look closely, he had a grip shift lockout on his rear shock.
Yeah, right.
But the flip side of that as well is like when Gwyn forgot to unlock his for cans through the rock garden. So he had it around the wrong way.
What? It would have been locked.
So he had it locked.
Surely you wouldn't have locked it in those corners at the top.
Yeah, well, like he locked it somewhere for something and then forgot to unlock it. Because it's just like a new thing. So his brain wasn't like switched on.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah. Do you run like any weird suspension tuning? Or is it all pretty? Other than your progressive coil?
Pretty much nothing special.
Yeah.
Everyone who sits on it reckons it's too hard and too slow, but that's about it.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably.
You're hitting stuff probably 50% faster than everyone, so you need it 50% stiffer. That's fine.
But we've still got to slow down and still got to have traction in the same section of track.
True.
So everything's a balancing act. That's why why I like those race only springs, because they just take one of the compromises out. Yeah,
true. Yeah,
because you used to have to compromise with a linear spring. Do you want bottom out or do you want small arm performance? So with the race only springs, you compromise a little bit because you don't have an infinite adjustment of the bottom out or which one you want. You know, you can't say that you want the 580 bottom out of a 475 and the 450 low, but you're never going to get that. So it just takes one of those compromises out for me.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely keen to try something like that because I know what's the heaviest spring they do?
I think 525.
Yeah, I think that's the downside to them is they can only do up to a 500.
Well, I think the issue isn't necessarily that they're going to do a 500. It's that they can't make the progression enough beyond that because you can't make like a 650. You know, like the wire thickness and the spacing just wouldn't work to do like a 650 in such a short stroke.
But, and the coils would bind and but the 500 does ramp up to 575.
Yeah.
Which is massive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And saying that, I usually run a 575 spring. But
is that what's that? What bike's that in there?
That was in my Giant. I haven't done it. I haven't tried my Spectral with one yet.
Because like on the V10s, they're a super. What's the word I'm looking for? I think it's I don't know. I'm going to get
the leverage rate is low.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't want to butcher that and get roasted for it. But yeah, so everyone runs a really heavy spring.
Yeah, leverage rate is low, so it doesn't have to move as much. Who thought bikes would ever be this technical?
I like it. I kind of enjoy it. It is good.
Do you mess around like alloy bars versus carbon bars and all that type of stuff, or you just...
Not really.
Yeah, okay.
I ran carbon bars for a few years. I didn't have an issue with carbon bars. Then I was on and now being on DD, we had, when we first got all our stuff, for first shipment, we only had our alloy bars.
Yeah.
And then I liked them, didn't really see a need to change or anything like that. So just stuck with them, really. We did play a little bit with clamps, like 31.8 or 35.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Initially, I really struggled with the 35s.
Yeah.
And I think, I can't remember where we were. We were somewhere, and it just took me a while to get used to how much stiffer they were.
Mm.
And then when we got to Europe, and I think I tried another set of 31.8s.
Yeah.
And I was like, like going back to that smaller clamp and a little more flex and all that sort of stuff, you kind of notice it, and you're back to the 35s and like, oh, yeah, no, this is comfortable. This is where I want to be.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. You definitely notice it. Hey, I was pretty surprised.
I didn't really notice it too much at first. I noticed it more. I can't remember where we were. I noticed more that I felt it through my hands more. I didn't specifically notice how much stiffer they were. Obviously, getting sore hands is a byproduct of them being extra stiff. Once I got used to them and went back to the 31s, I noticed that they were flexier.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
More flexy. I don't know what the right word is, but anyway. So I noticed that more.
I'm the same. Like, I have to run a 31.8 now because of the screws in my hand, but it's definitely softer than the 35, and I kind of didn't think it would make a difference. And when I swapped it,
depending on which carbon bar you go to, like some built super stiff, and I think it was the Envy bars back in the day were built really built with some compliance in them.
I think maybe it is Diety, or it's someone that does an oval profile on their alloy bars. So it goes around, then oval at the bends so that it flexes through there. It might not be Diety. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird concept.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Because I really liked the bend profile on the Brendan's signature DD bar.
Yeah.
I think they just called the Brendogs.
Yes.
Because I was running those on the 31.8s and the 35. I think they're black labels.
Yes.
I forget the model name. Had a different profile, and I also I struggled to get used to that at first too.
It's surprising how much it makes a difference.
Oh, it's huge.
That's the BF 800.
That's it.
Yeah. So they're 800 wide, which is massive.
I don't know. I run 780. It's not too much narrower.
I think it makes a bigger difference, though.
I actually put a set of those on at 800 and then rode it for like 2 weeks. And then DePel wanted to cut my bars down because he's like, 800 is too wide. And I got so used to it. I was like, no, don't cut it. I like it. I was like, yeah, no, I'm sort of tall a little bit, right? You don't need to cut them. And then he cut them, and I was like, I shouldn't have run them that wide. It's all good.
Yeah. Oh, it's an 8 degree up. 8 degree back sweep, 5 degree. Yeah, okay. It's a bit different.
I struggled with the back sweep a lot at first.
Yeah, it gives you a weird feeling.
Because I was always on, I had the Common Sail brand for a while, the Ride Alphas, and I quite liked them, but they were really soft.
Yeah, okay.
They were really flexy. And then what was the other ones I was on? I had some Crank Brothers bars for a bit, and they had a weird sweep that I struggled with. I've had a few different bar times. I really liked the early Envy ones too. They were really good.
I feel like they're very similar to the Diety ones. Have you seen those Syncross or the weird German ones? They're like a 10 degree back sweep.
10?
Yeah. They're next level.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy. Do you have, you don't have like any weird, do you have anything that you like pay particular attention to when you're riding, like bike setup wise?
My pad contact on my levers.
Yeah, okay.
Alex hates it. I'm super picky with that. And I'm the polar opposite to Connor.
Yeah. Connor just runs whatever.
No, Connor runs them like tapping the bars.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That scares me.
That's disgusting. Yeah.
And I run them like what everyone describes to you in a bike shop as the ideal is how I run them.
Yeah.
Like firm, just like stops like 3 or 4 mil before your knuckle.
Yeah.
That like I suppose what everyone sells as the ideal bleed is kind of how I run it, which is why Alex hates it because I'm really picky with it.
Do you run like the current codes? Is that what you're running?
Yeah, RSCs, yeah.
Yeah, because Connor's still running the old ones, right? The silver dogs.
I don't think so.
Oh, really?
I don't think so. Because I remember Alex and I had this argument because he loves the silver ones more than the new ones. And he rode my bike in somewhere. Can't remember where. He rode my bike somewhere for like 2 or 3 weeks. Always told me, yeah, no, I prefer the old ones. And then when he built, because I gave him my Worlds bike from last year that he hand painted.
Yeah, okay, sick.
And he put some silver codes on it, rode it once and was like, oh, I really want a set of the new ones now. Like, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I was riding with a mate yesterday. He's still got them on. He's still got the silver ones.
People hunt them.
Yeah.
Like, they just go, like, the only brakes people will use.
And, yeah, now there's no seal kits left for them.
And I was the opposite. I could never, ever get used to the levers.
Yeah,
I used to put guide RSC levers on the code calipers because I couldn't get used to that like really short throw.
I just like the lever field. I don't know.
Couldn't do it. Never could.
The new stuff's pretty good though. Like the new code, it's pretty hard to beat those brakes.
Yeah. Like I hardly have to bleed them. They're super easy to bleed. I've heard good things about a lot of other stuff, but I don't know. I like them.
Yeah. Again, there's no bad brakes. Like they're all just different.
Yeah. Yeah. There's quirks to everything.
Yeah. Other than bite stop, do you do anything like weird or you pay attention to?
I'm pretty picky with my forks.
Yeah, okay.
My fork setup. Nothing super out there.
Are you changing like your fork setup or suspension setup to every track?
At a World Cup, yeah, Alex and I play with it a bit. Not a massive amount, not compared to a lot of people, but just, fine tuning sort of thing. Yeah. Got a pretty good base, and we just kind of 1 or 2 PSI this way, 1 or 2 PSI, or not 1 or 2, but, a bit this way, a bit that way, up and down on a few clickers here and there, but nothing wild. Even tire pressures don't vary too much. I work on, I know that it's like really close on my base setup, and I'd prefer to know exactly what the bike's going to do all the time rather than be guessing what it might do, but the setup might be better. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. That's what I always that's what I was getting at before with like the tinkerers. Like it is sick and people do it, but you never get to understand how your bike handles because you're always changing it.
Yeah, exactly. That sums it up well.
And you don't learn how to ride around it.
Yeah. And because coming from BMX, I knew absolutely nothing about suspension setup at all for so long. It was only really when I signed for GT in 16, I did my first, testing and realized how crappy my bikes had been. So I got really, really good at riding around everything. Like, my first World Cup in 2015, I got third, I got podiumed in juniors. And if I could go back and ride that bike now, it would be so bad. It'd be it was like a size too small, which I didn't realize because I didn't know that when you went to, you wanted a long bike, and it was probably too hard. It was probably like, there was so many things I look back on now and I was like, I should have, I wish I had understood setup now then. And I think that's probably why I try and learn as much as I can now, is to just get it as close as I can and make it as easy for myself as I can.
A lot of my BMX mates, they just hop on, put some air in it, turn it all to the middle setting and go riding. And it's just like, man, no.
That sounds like the first 10 years of me riding a mountain bike.
Yep.
It sounds like, actually, to be fair, that's me on a trail bike.
Yeah, okay.
It's like I try and run coil on everything, like rear shocks at least.
Yeah.
Get it close, get my fork close, and then just ride it.
Let's ride it.
Service them here and there. If I'm somewhere steep, I'll pump the fork up a bit.
Yeah.
Like, just ride it. It's just, to me, it's just a training tool. It's not necessarily like my race bike. Like, if I go to an enduro, I'll play with it a little bit more, but
Yeah, okay.
I'm not stressed about it when I just go for a pedal at Stromlo.
Are you on the Process X or just the Process?
153, yeah.
153.
Yeah.
Okay. Little guy.
Oh, I don't know. It's
Medium.
got a 180 mil fork, and it's basically a downhill bike. It's heavier than my downhill bike because it's got the downhill rims, 180 mil fork. It's the same bar and stem, like 35 mil bars, stem.
Yeah.
It's the race only spring. It's the same tires. It's the same everything as my downhill bike. It's just got more gears and a dropper post.
Sick. That's so good.
It's a weapon. It's the king of point and shoot because you don't have to do anything. You just like point it straight and it goes.
That's sick. Are you running the Zebs or Lyrics up on the front?
Lyrics.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I haven't got a set of Zebs on it yet.
Yeah, okay. I'm keen
I don't
to
mind the
people.
flex.
Yeah.
Like, on that bike, I should say. If I was racing it, I would want Zebs,
But it's only like, from what I've read, it's only the torsional stiffness that really went up high. Like, I think it's only like 5 or 6% laterally, whereas like the torsional stiffness is like 30%.
I just knew that was stiffer. I didn't read too much into how much stiffer in which direction.
I went full bike nerd on it, but yeah, they're supposed to ride very similar to Lyrics, but your wheel doesn't deflect as much, is the best way to put it.
Yeah, right. Well, we run really stiff wheels, so that probably would make a bigger difference for us. But
yeah, do you run torque caps? This is the one. Do you know what torque caps are? Do you run them?
If I don't know what they are, I probably don't run them.
Yeah, it's weird. No one uses them, but they're like a fatter end cap for your hub for the front. So I don't know if you've noticed, but on your forks, there's that like silver ring at the bottom. So you got your standard axle, which is only like like 18 mil wide at the biggest, and a torque cap something like 30. So the clamping force on your front wheel is double, so it's so much stiffer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well,
no one knows about them, and bikes don't come with them, but they're
Well, I know with the Kings, because the hub shells are supposed to be are like a bit thicker. I noticed the difference of that.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I actually, because I was on a different brand of hub, especially on the back, I noticed the Kings were a lot stiffer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you
I noticed a lot of difference.
Really?
Yeah.
How so? That's super interesting.
So I was on a different brand hub that had the like double geared in the free hub, how they'd had the gear in the hub, gear in the under the cassette, and then they had a teeth that would spline together, and that was the mechanism. And I noticed to the point, and it's a little bit because the rim we were running, or the Envy, is really stiff, and we were playing a little bit with spoke tension, and we were riding at Thredbo on a like blue groove day, so you had all the grip in the world.
Yeah.
And I could dig into a corner so hard that it would flex the whole hub and bind the free hub together, and so the chain would coil up at my feet.
Yeah, right.
And then I'd come out of the corner and it'd all just snap back out.
Yeah.
So you'd like feel the chain, like I literally had the chain like in my shoe.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you go back to the King and it wouldn't do it.
Yeah, okay.
Like the whole bike wouldn't flex as much.
Yeah, that makes 100% sense. Yeah. Wow. I mean, I'm never going to corner that hard, but yeah, I get it 100%.
Yeah. So it's just that, it was just like, it was a perfect storm of the hub being flexier, it not being in line with how the frame was flexing as well. Because like every frame has a flex characteristic.
Yeah.
And it just didn't quite work with the flex characteristic of our frame. And so then when I loaded it just right, and it would do it every single run in a few specific corners when you load it just enough in just the right spot. And you can do it both directions too.
Mm. I think my giant I could do that on, but it wasn't wheel flex. It was more in the frame, but yeah, you could just...
Because Alex didn't believe me at first. He's like, no, you can't do that. It's not happening. And I was like, well, I don't know what else it could be.
Yeah, it has to be this. Mm. You mentioned like spoke tension testing, but that's something like I've been chatting about with a few people. Did you notice any difference? Like with
on the NBs, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the rim's so stiff.
Yeah.
And I like... And actually, when we were on the VR1s too, same thing. Yeah. And they liked completely different things.
Did always the same spoke, though? Like they're always, I'm guessing, probably DT comps or whatever they are.
You'd have to ask Alex. I'm not sure.
I'll just send him a message. Spoke to you. Will they make me go faster?
Yeah, we played a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah. Because I'm going to try. This is
in the end, I just went really stiff.
Yeah.
The NBs liked it.
It seems like you like that
style. I like the brutality.
Yeah, okay.
I
just going to isolate that sentence as well.
Not being a very big kid, so I got used to riding around things.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And kind of being able to go over things without breaking things.
Yeah.
And then I went faster and got heavier and started breaking things.
Yeah.
And then I got really good at the kind of point and shoot kind of style. I guess my style is a little bit point and shoot, really.
Yeah.
Like I'm quite good at that. I can ride pretty committed.
Yeah.
And so I really like that brutality. And I like my suspension really firm and quite slow. Because it lets it sit in and just get on top of the bumps almost.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I like to ride.
Yeah. That makes sense. Because I really want to play around. Like I've got a set of carbon rims at the moment, and I'm probably just going to swap them out. But I'm keen to try a different spoke type. So run an aero-bladed spoke to see if it'll keep wheel tension and then flex a little bit.
I never understood the flex thing, and then I had a set of... What were they? Actually, it was a few years ago on a set of M70 NBs. And they had a thinner... The ones that I had were like a standard set at the time. They had a thinner spoke.
Yeah, I think, they run like a 1.8. Yeah, or something
like that. And I rode... One of my mates who was a mechanic who built his with a thicker spoke, and I don't know what it was. I don't know what the difference was. I didn't really know the difference at the time. And that was when I figured the difference, because the M70s on the bike they were on, the bike was super, super stiff. The spoke wasn't stiff enough to deal with a stiff rim and a stiff bike. Yeah. And so the wheel would walk.
Yeah.
Because the spoke was just the part. So I had all these problems with them coming, losing tension and everything like that because it was just stretching the spokes.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I can't remember what spoke count they were either.
No, they were 32.
Yeah, okay. And then a 3-cross, I'm guessing. Yeah, so it'd have to be spoke tension. Yeah.
Building wheels is the one thing that I've never learned to build wheels from scratch.
Yeah, okay.
One thing I can't do.
It's easy to build, but it's hard to build a good set.
That's why I just let people. I've got a few people around and who are really good at it, so I kind of
get Mitch building them for you.
Mitch and his brother Zoo, and there's a few people in Canberra who are really good at it.
Yeah, sick. And Alex, of course. But
yeah.
He's a little bit far away from you at the moment.
Yeah, bloody hell. Yeah, Alex, come home.
So is he still going to be your mechanic for the year? Like, do you guys know what's going on there, or?
I haven't spoken to him directly about it, but he's still, as far as I'm aware, he's still with the team. I haven't spoken specifics. We kind of just, Alex, our relationship is a bit of, you going there? Yeah, I'm going there. All right, we'll go there together. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty loosey-goosey, and it's kind of the way it works for both of us. So he'll be around. He always is.
Down to anything, which is good.
Yeah, he's too loosey goosey too, Benny. Which is why he's so good.
Yeah,
because he can just think on the fly and he's not worried about being tied into stuff.
Yeah, doesn't matter if things go a little bit awry.
Yeah, just the story that reminds me of that is he bled my brakes at national championships with my race run last year.
Yeah.
And so we're all getting it was the last shuttle bus, and we're all getting on the bus. I get up and, I'm getting my stuff together and he's checking my bike over. And I sit on my bike and I go, my brakes are wrong. Like, these aren't mine. Like, and he's like, oh, what the hell? Yeah, they've like gone away. Like, they'd completely gone to Connor's spec almost. But there was nothing there. And in like 5 minutes, he just gave me the perfect brake bleed on the spot. Still made a run. Like, he's just really good at just thinking on his feet and not worrying about what's happened and just fixing it.
Yeah. It's so good. It's good to watch him work as well.
Mm.
It was actually pretty funny watching you both work last year on that guy's snapped crank. That was pretty funny. When you were like standing. Funny. Yeah, you were standing on the crank or something, and then he was jamming some vice grips in there. Yeah, it was good.
Mm. Yeah.
What do you do you have any expectations for this year for Nationals? Or like, obviously you want to win. You're not going down. No one races to come.
Yeah.
But
after last year, I have a few.
Yeah, okay.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, okay.
Wait and see how it goes first.
Yeah.
No, I do. I always set some pretty high goals for myself. Yeah. And this year is no less.
I think it's going to be a pretty hot contended race this year. I think it's got to be every elite rider's got to be there, right? I think maybe Sam Hill might not go. I don't know, but
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
But yeah, it's at least
last year was like, up until my race run, obviously, was like the perfect race.
Yeah.
Like that weekend was just perfect.
Yeah.
Up until my race run.
That one right-hander, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yep. Yeah. Does it still in your nightmares?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Oh, man. But so you don't have any like races planned for the rest of the year other than Nationals?
Well, yeah, like as many World Cups as I can get to, but it's kind of hard to plan. Oh, I mean, with the world the way it is at the moment, it's hard to plan anything.
It's pretty expensive as well, like with everything as it is. Because
it's like looking into it, like flights and stuff aren't too bad.
Yeah.
Getting back to Australia in the quarantine is what's expensive.
Yeah. But like, I think Jack said Canyon spent 10 grand on COVID tests last year.
Yeah. See, I think the UCI just announced their COVID plans for this season, like this morning or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
I actually read into it.
Yeah, I'll have to have a look.
But I saw something popped up somewhere. They've just announced all their COVID protocols and testing and all the requirements.
Yeah.
This morning.
Yeah, but it just seems like everything kind of got the price jacked up with like accommodation and testing and a whole bunch of other things. So it's definitely not a cheap exercise.
Oh, it never is, but
yeah, true.
Yeah.
But I guess Kona's going to help you out a fair bit with like accommodation and stuff when you're over there.
Yeah, well, it's again,
whatever happens.
We just got to have races to go to first.
Yeah, confirmed races.
Yeah, confirmed. Yeah, there's a calendar. Is it confirmed though? Like
2022 calendar just came out, and I'm like, you guys, that's next level.
Yeah, that will be a tough one for privateers. That calendar, because there's no double headers. There's always at least a weekend between.
Yeah, there's not 1 week after another.
No, not at all. And like, I think the North American stint is before World Champs in Europe.
I think you're right.
Europe, North America, and then back to Europe for one off. Which, as a privateer, is like, I don't understand the whole. I don't understand why they call it a World Cup for one, because it's the European Cup with some Americans. I'd love to see it go to like New Zealand, Australia,
like South America and stuff. But as
I
you said,
heard rumors of a
huge.
few places. I don't know about New Zealand, but I've heard rumors of a few other places working on plans. But
Yeah. It's again money, COVID, everything.
Yeah.
Is there any country you want to go to, like, and race in?
More. I've always heard cool things about Japan.
Yeah, sick. Yep.
Places like that, like not necessarily new places, but even different places, like getting to experience a World Cup at Schladming.
Yeah.
And just things like that.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Japan now has a pro rider again, which is good.
Oh yeah, Yuki.
Yeah.
Yuki's a lord. He's
He
the
is
coolest.
so good on a
He's
bike,
so
eh?
good.
Yeah.
He's just a cool guy. He's just a cool person.
His dad's next level, hey. His dad is a G.
Yeah, I've never met him.
So they used to ride at some dirt jumps around the corner from me when I lived over there. So I used to go riding with Yuki when he was like 15, like 14, 15, just at the dirt jumps. And his dad would just rock up in, like, they've had a fully kitted out, like, old Toyota Hiace Super Custom, I think it was, like the ones with the electric blinds and stuff from factory. And they just, like, they'd pack up the whole family and go and just travel around riding bikes. It's so good.
I met a few of them in Whistler a few years ago. And, like, just all those, like, anyone from Japan who's having a go and out riding, like, they all just seem to be really cool people.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a bit of that culture, too, is they're just really down to earth, really relaxed, really cool people, which I think is really cool.
His brother Santa has some of the best style I've ever seen on a bike.
Yeah, right.
It's next level.
Yeah, right. And, like, part of me also being into cars and being into Japanese cars wants to go to Japan anyway. So we get to experience two birds with one stone would be pretty sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Knowing the UCI to be like a triple header and to be like one there, one somewhere else, and then one somewhere else, so you wouldn't get a chance to stop and have a look.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah. Bali or something like that. Sick. We'll start wrapping things up a little bit, I reckon. Have you bought a new car or done anything rad to a car lately?
I bought myself a Patrol.
Okay.
I sold my van and bought a Patrol. Actually, my old man bought a really cool little Datsun Ute.
Yeah, sick.
He found it in Tasmania. It's a 1962 320, so it's a 1200 Ute.
Yep.
But a 1962.
Okay.
And we found it in Tasmania. It's got 70,000 miles on it. The spare tire is the original one. It got its first set of tires to pass Rego in 2006, and they're still on it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a time capsule.
That's a gem.
And I like, you can't, like, Dad and I to fit in it, it's like rubbing shoulders.
Oh, they're tiny.
I don't fit it. Like, my head hits the roof.
Yeah.
And my legs are so long that I have to kind of sit with my, like, knees in the passenger seat just to be able to put it in reverse. It's hilarious.
Sick? Yeah, they're so good, hey. They look big in photos, and then you see them and they're basically like a little Suzuki.
It's hilarious. It's awesome. It's really cool. It's like a time capsule, and it runs and drives awesome. Like, starts first crank. It's awesome.
Oh, this is the one with, like, the little round headlights and stuff. This is the
62 320. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you sent me a photo of it.
If you Google it, the photos from the Gumtree listing actually pop up.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but other than that, we've just been driving the rest of the fleet, so we've got a little fleet going now.
That's when, like, Japan was all about, like, that Havana style.
Yeah. Well,
like Cuban.
Other than that, it's the longest I've ever been at home, and it's the longest we've had the whole fleet, and it is a little bit of a fleet running at once, so it's been really cool.
Yeah, that's sick. I saw, like, a little 1600 or something pop up the other week that was like a half drag conversion, had full, like, tub conversions and stuff. But
yeah,
it's
been pretty cool. We've been getting them out a little bit, and it's been fun.
Yeah.
Dad got his Prince running really good, so he's been driving that a bit. And,
so good.
Cool.
That's rad.
The Prince is seriously awesome.
And what have you been doing, like, to I guess there's not been much racing or riding. What have you been doing to keep your mind occupied? You still been 3D printing and stuff? And
yeah, a bit of that. Been driving trucks for one of my mates who's a concreter a bit.
Yeah, okay.
Been working for Dad as well, running data cables and doing some of that sort of stuff. So
Okay.
a bit more just general trade, like I guess, yeah. But that's been cool. Yeah, a lot of just odds and ends, just random stuff, really.
Yeah.
I kind of just like to say yes to everything and try kind of a bit of everything and all that. With having a patrol now, I've been doing a little bit of full driving as well.
Yeah, sick.
That sort of stuff, and just enjoying different things. No, I'm scared to go out with Kai.
Yeah, those guys look.
I'm scared to go with Kai. I think I told him I bought it, and he's like, "So you ready to scratch it yet, or what? Like, you going out?" And I was like, "Oh, let me just enjoy it for a little bit, and then yeah." But I'm kind of running out of excuses, so I'm sure he's just looking forward to the day that I get stuck and he gets to pull it out.
He's had a good season.
One of my best mates bought a Land Cruiser at the same time as I bought a Patrol. Yep. So it's started this whole big banter. It's been pretty fun.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
Old, which one's better? And
yeah. It's like Ford versus Holden, but
it is the new Ford versus Holden.
Yeah, it is. No, it's been cool. So there's been a lot on, but just stuff.
Yeah. Sick. Have you been digging any good tunes or anything lately? Has there been anything?
No, nothing in particular. I had the Spotify Wrapped thing come up at the end of the year and shocked myself with how much country I'd turned into listening. But
been around that Hearns again too.
Yeah. But no, nothing in particular. I kind of just listen to a random playlist on Spotify here and there and just let it go.
Sick. I've been doing pretty much the same. But I've been editing this little video I'm doing with a mate of mine down here. So I've been listening to the same song and sections of that song over and over and over for the last 3 days.
God.
It's good, but it's a sick little edit. It's going to be rad. Something different. Again, just to pass the time, hey?
Yeah, that's cool.
Rad. Easy, man. Is there anything you wanted to mention that we haven't mentioned?
Nothing in particular. I think we've kind of, I don't really know what we planned to start, but it kind of planned to nothing and turned into something. So I don't know. That's probably just going to be like 45 minutes of us talking about tech and then 45 minutes of bench racing. So
good. Yeah. It's good. I'm going to try and do more of these. There's one there's one with me, Jai and Baxter that we did last week. That's 2.5 hours of literal shit talking.
How many beers were consumed? Because that would say a lot with Jai. Actually, no, I think Jai's dry now, isn't he?
Or was he had a few?
That would have made it infinitely better.
He goes on
Jai's a lord.
Oh, dude, he's so good, hey?
Yeah. It took me a while to like get to know him enough to where I was like, oh wow, this is actually you. Like, you think you're actually this big of a lord? Like,
yeah. That's what I was the same. I'm like, surely you're not like this. Oh, you are like this. Like all
same
the time.
with actually, it's the exact same thing with Baxter. We kind of knew each other in passing for a long time while we were racing each other, and then I don't know, maybe a few years ago, we kind of, I don't know, we just both kind of got to know each other a little bit better, I guess, or something. Yeah. And he's awesome. I love Baxter. He's a weapon.
They're all just living the dream, building trails and riding them and breaking themselves.
Yeah, I'm taking my hardtail just for Baxter's jumps at champs.
Oh,
haven't even told him that yet, but I'm riding the jumps, Baxter.
I can't even ride jumps that big, and I want to go on.
I probably can't either, but I'm going to try.
Yeah. Did you see Jai's crash from Dream Track?
Oh God. I didn't want to. I accidentally. Yeah, no. God.
That was next level. I don't know how he got out of it.
Well, to be fair, he didn't get out that good.
I think he did.
I mean, considering
he got a broken collarbone, but if that guy on one of the bikes was not like 2 inches to the right, it was yeah. But there's a good story around that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
All right.
easy, man. Thanks so much for the chat.
All good.
It's been good. We'll just end it there.
So easy. All right. Catch you later.
See you, man.
Bye.